Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tower of Babble podcast. As always, I'm Julian Mush. I'm joined by Jeremy Cozier.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about today just the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It's a impromptu quick review here on a Saturday afternoon. And Jeremy did a little adventure with his nephews. Was it yesterday you did that? And I went like an old person. I went on opening night on Wednesday at like 10 o'clock. And yet there was still like an 8-year-old there at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. So take that for what you will, to see this essentially kids movie. But hey, we all have nostalgia and attachments to what is Mario as a character. Been around for forever now, it feels like. Probably one of the most recognizable characters in any medium in the world. So there's no reason we can't talk about this movie. And we're excited to do so, obviously having a lot of experience, having played the games and all the different pieces of Mario stuff that this movie alludes to. But all that being said, again, this will be, as typical for us, will be full spoilers for the Mario movie. Not much to spoil, to be honest. Not really much to spoil, but just so in case anyone is worried, we will be spoiling the Super Mario Brothers movie here in this review. I dressed for the occasion. I put on my my fancy Super Mario Brothers shirt that I got from Japan, from the Nintendo store in Tokyo. And Jeremy was kind enough to send over an updated profile picture, so we can put that up on the stream here, of him in his Mario hat with the red sweater and jeans on. So him cosplaying as Mario, basically, is there for your delight if you're watching this live. And of course, you can always watch us live on Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe to their Tower Babblecast, at Tower Babblecast on either of those platforms, and get notifications when we go live, so you can hang out with us and chat with us live on the show. All right, we got that preamble out of the way. If you want to help support the show, do so heading over to patreon.com/TowerBabblecast. Help support the show. We just finished recording our monthly film club. We talked about Enemy, a Denis Villeneuve movie from 2013, most recently.
The exact opposite of the Mario Bros. Movie.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. In fact, you might be right. There might be no more opposite movie than Enemy to the Super Mario Brothers movie. Hold on, I'm just going to quickly update the titles here in the live. People think we're talking about The Mandalorian, so here you go. Update.
Breaking Mandalorian news.
Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Is that the name of the official movie? The Super Mario Bros. Okay, the Super Mario Bros.
B.O.
Yeah, B-R-O Bros.
Period.
Yeah.
Is it a period or a dot when you're doing bros?
It's technically the same thing, but I think you just call it a dot. I don't know.
Then period, because
it feels like that's just the end of the sentence.
Right.
Yeah. Review the Tower Babble podcast. All right. This is exciting radio. But I am excited to talk about this movie because it's something that we've been thinking about for it's been a while, right? Like we've been hearing about the Super Mario Brothers movie for several years. The way that Nintendo, who has typically been pretty shy about how they treat their characters outside of their games, largely because of the failure of the 1993 movie, and some of the Zelda stuff, the animated Zelda stuff that they did around that same time, gives them cold feet. So they kind of took a different approach to this movie. They teamed up with the same folks who make the Minions movie, Illumination Studios, and they slow-rolled the information. They revealed the cast of the Mario movie in a Nintendo Direct, of all places, with Miyamoto kind of like coming out and like having like a personal message to everybody about how he's excited about the movie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Miyamoto, who gets I think a pretty solid credit in this movie. I like his name is all over the credits in this film.
Yeah, he's been promoting it too, traveling around, talking about it with the cast
really cool.
too. Yeah.
But I guess how much he was actually involved in the actual process of making the movie, we don't know. Ultimately, probably pretty. I don't know actually. Jerry, how much do you think he's involved in kind of the day-to-day filmmaking of this whole thing?
I don't think that part is there. I think it's more so just a protection of their characters and how they want to be represented. Um,
Right.
and it's basically a one for one style, like visually,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is important.
Well,
And then
I would
yeah,
argue
like yeah,
this
go ahead.
movie looks better than any Mario game we've ever had. Right? Imagine. I mean, the thing is,
Well,
I feel like
even animated movies, to be
yeah,
honest, too. It's
that's true. It's
pretty,
gorgeous. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty striking.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Shigeru Miyamoto, obviously a legend as a video game creator. He's got he's an interesting character. We're not really going to get into the Miyamoto of it all, but I would
Miyamoto-san.
recommend Miyamoto-san. Exactly. You're gonna want to learn more about him. This- he just has
Oh,
such an
it's an
interesting
incredible
story.
mind, just
Yeah,
a
yeah,
genius of our time.
yes. Um, yeah. Well, is renowned. He basically saved gaming with Mario and after the crash, and there's a lot that he can be credited with. And I think we'll talk about the games as inspirations for this movie, but we'll kind of try to concentrate on this as a movie first during this conversation. So, all right, let's get into it. Um, this is a just came out this weekend, premiered on a Wednesday. It is doing really, extremely well from a box office perspective. Can't really get much better than this. This is from a Hollywood Reporter article from today, being the 8th. Illumination and Universal's Nintendo video game adaptation, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, grossed $55 million at the Friday box office for a 5-day domestic debut of $195 million or more, well ahead of expectations. The mega opening includes a projected $137 million for the 3-day weekend, which would pass up Finding Dory, which has $135.1 million as the record, to rank as the second best start of all time for an animated film, behind Incredibles 2, surprisingly. Not adjusted for
Well,
inflation. So
I was just gonna say those 2 franchises, it's interesting you mentioned them 'cause, um, that's I had thoughts about those 2 in comparison to this one, so.
interesting. Finding Dory and Incredibles, or both those
Well,
like
more
finding.
so
Yeah.
just the franchise, just the movies in general, and how they kinda were represented and what they did at the time, how they were received, you know, pretty unanimous praise, I think.
For Incredibles 2 and Finding Dory.
Well, just I mean, just the franchise, like
Oh,
Incredibles
right.
would be
Yeah.
one, and for Dory could be Nemo, right? Like those are
Yes. Yeah.
just,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
best
Yeah.
franchises, I guess.
Yeah. Notably, both of those are sequels, right? Incredibles 2 and Finding Dory.
Well, yeah,
The
they have sequels.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, what's interesting is that Incredibles 2 came out so long after the first movie. Both are these are of course are Pixar films in this case. This is not. So
Yeah,
this will
this is not
blow.
Disney, but it's
Yeah,
the
this is yeah.
Disneyfication of
Yes.
Nintendo, essentially.
Well, I mean, they were already kind of they made they're opening theme parks and all that kind of stuff, and
Mhm.
they're if there's any brand that you could probably say is closest aligned with how Nintendo operates, it's Disney. I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty safe assumption
Yeah.
from my perspective. But anyway, that's not adjusted for inflation. So overseas, Super Mario looks like to start off with 173 million, for a total of 368 million start, quote unquote. The top showing ever for an animated title after supplanting Frozen 2 at 358 million, another sequel. I guess Jeremy, the question here is: this movie's like looking like it's going to be an absolute massive financial success. Are you surprised at all by that revelation?
No.
Yeah, it's. I mean, as we talked about, the biggest video game character of all time. Do you think this number at 368 million, is that? Do you feel like that is a lot more than you expected, or is it? We expected it to do well, but did you expect it to do this well? Is the question.
Maybe not just in terms of I guess some of the flack going into it, maybe with, I guess, some of
What the?
like Chris Pratt stuff,
Is
maybe.
it just the Chris Pratt stuff? Is that the only like
That just
drama?
seemed to be the drama that all news outlets or whatever was concerned about, or fans concerned about, right? Like it's
Right.
typically something like that. Like when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, like it's just yeah.
Always finding a way to bring it back to the DCU.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of I am impressed with how well this movie did, obviously. I thought it was going to do well. I didn't think it was going to do this well. You know, biggest all-time worldwide opening for an animated movie ever is pretty impressive. Obviously, this is on a 3-day weekend, so it does get that bump. But still, I mean, it is what it is. It's not surprising, I think, in the sense that, of course, people know who Mario is.
It's just perfect strategy, right? Like you said,
Yeah,
with a 3-day weekend, the day off, no school. I took that opportunity, took nephews and niece, so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
makes
mean, I
sense.
guess let's quickly just talk. I mean, we sometimes do this in our reviews. Tell me about your viewing experience of the seeing this movie. Like, do you feel like you got? Did you see it in 3D? A,
No,
you
I saw it
didn't.
in
Okay,
3D. I just wanted to be uh just just normal viewing of a
pure. Yeah.
CG. Yeah, right, because that's some of our concerns over 3D is a bit dark
Ugh,
sometimes.
drives me absolutely insane. I saw it in 3D because that was the only time for the theater, the AVX theater that worked. And yeah, I wish it was brighter, the 3D projection. I didn't think the 3D really brought a lot to the experience at all, to be honest. I'm really over 3D as a concept. That's the other thing, by the way. The reason it's making this much money is because it's doing 3D. That's also a huge benefit to its box office to be able to have a 3D ticket option, which is like at $15-16 a ticket at this point. It's really freaking wild. So no, I didn't love my visual, like the visual side of things, but the movie itself looks great. So I'm not gonna dock it any points for that for my own choice of watching it in 3D. I would have liked to have seen it. I don't think the new AVX theater we have here, Jeremy, does digital projection. I'm pretty sure about that now, because the way
We
that
gotta
they,
find out for sure.
I would love to find. First of all,
I
it's a
feel like it's pretty
travesty that we
crisp.
don't
I
know.
don't. Yeah, I
I
don't
just
know.
don't know why we can't find that out. Like, why is that not like information that we can have access to? You know, I feel like they're
You
just
have to go
obscuring
there
that
and
fact.
ask for the manager, probably.
I
Maybe they know.
I subscribe to the Cineplex Cine Club. I'm regretting it more and more the more I go to Cineplex theaters because I really feel like they're doing a worse and worse job. You know, the funniest thing that I thought this happened at the Mario screening. Okay, so they got this new, brand new spanking theater opens up,
Yeah.
and I still don't think they did digital projection, which I think is a crime here because again they keep the lights on during the previews, which drives me absolutely wild. I talked to Cineplex once about this. They said it's for safety reasons, which is bullshit in my opinion. But anyway, um, you'd be able to tell if it was digital projection with the lights on. It would be a better image. But with the lights on, you could barely see anything. So that's a bit of a
Well,
bummer.
the yellow lights are shining right at the white canvas, so
Yeah,
it's
uh, I I don't want to listen. I've already ranted about that in the past. We'll put that aside for now. But just to really like put a cherry on top of kind of the film going experience, which of course we talk about a lot here. We're champions of a kind of a high quality film going experience, and I don't think we get it very often. Sure, they've got the new recliners, but also these recliners in this theater don't recline enough, in my opinion. They don't go far enough back, which is so weird to say, but it feels
they
like it's
don't
true.
go as far back as landmarks for sure.
Yeah,
Landmarks, you
yeah.
are laying down. We've heard
You,
snoozing
yeah.
in these
Yeah, it's
uh,
funny.
theaters. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you don't want to fall asleep, I guess, but
this one, at
I
least your
mean,
feet are basically they're all the way up essentially,
yes, it's really more about the leg rest
and you
than
get
anything.
a nice little swivel
Table,
table
yeah,
for yourself.
but like for what? Like, what do you put
Yeah.
on that table?
So what happened at my showing, same theater as you. I
Yeah,
think we were in the B row, so relatively close, but I feel like it's fine.
yeah, same.
Um, Someone on the end, their buttons weren't working for their
What?
reclining abilities. So a worker came to one of my group's people who were at the end and said, "I need you to move under your seat is some sort of master controls
Oh my
for
god!
their seat over there." And then so he gets up, she goes under there, "Oh, this doesn't work." She's like, "Oh, maybe it's the next one." So then another person in my group has to get up closer, and they check under there, and I guess it worked then, and then, yeah, they
No
sat back
way.
down.
So this brand new theater doesn't even work properly. Okay, got it. And okay, so the other thing that they do here at this theater, which is I think insane. Okay, so
What's
they
this?
you get ready for this one. Okay, so you know how typically you would go and you'd order your popcorn and your drink, and then they would fill your drink for you, and then
Oh, you
off
feel it
you go.
yourself.
You fill it
Yeah.
yourself.
That's like
They,
Landmark though, right?
yeah, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
And
Ultimately,
the
it's like
options
whatever.
on the machine, right? There's a
Yes,
million
you
options. So
can
are you
pick.
saying that you were like kind of waiting too long to get
No,
to
no,
it,
no, no,
or
no, no. It's fine. It is annoying because you do have
choose
to
your amount of
wait.
ice? Maybe you don't want any ice. Maybe
I'm
you
okay
want
with that
it.
too. That is not the issue.
Okay.
Isn't that is an option. Ultimately, it's just them offloading more labor onto
Okay. So,
the going public. Which
right.
whatever, sure, fair enough. But the kicker was in front of the drink filler was a sign that said no refills,
So
and
you
I
could
was like,
easily go and get refills of what's
I'm
gonna
just like,
happen.
I'm sorry, this is bullshit. You're gonna give me this cup and go tell me to go over there and fill up my own drink for me, and then for 10 cents, right? I mean, for being honest, like how much does it cost to fill one of those cups with a drink?
Right.
It's 10 cents, right? So you're gonna tell me that you are so fucking cheap that you're not even gonna let me go back and refill my drink, if which probably wouldn't even happen that often, right?
You want me to
But
go back in line and pay another $7.99 for this
yeah, yes,
small drink?
yes, yes. That's what they want you to do. I think it's like
Baffling.
it's insane to me. It's like I don't know. I can't
Maybe that's
abide.
your call. I think that's your call, is to, like, run a movie theater.
I would love to
I
run a movie
think you
theater,
need to be
Jeremy.
the manager, like, the owner operator of a
Of
movie
a
theater.
yeah of like a basically a version of the Alamo Draft House experience that I've had now multiple times by visiting on my work trips in Raleigh. I'm able to go to an Alamo and truly a magical experience, Jeremy. Like, I can't express it. The only thing that I guess I would say about Alamo that isn't as great is that the screens aren't as big, and there is like this like underlighting that you use to like read the menu and stuff that can be distracting. Um, there's solutions for that, I think, that you could work around, but ultimately, like just the experience of the movie theater itself. Like you buy a popcorn, it's unlimited. You can just have as much popcorn as you want, right? Um, and they'll refill it for you as many times as you like. Same thing for drinks. They have an extensive food menu. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is this: you're paying $20 for a drink and a popcorn. $20 fucking. Excuse my language. And you're too cheap to install a digital projector, which I'm pretty sure is not what they put in there. Which is, I think, you're building a new theater and you're not going to put a digital projector in. Okay, screw you. And then you can't even justify a refill on a $10 popcorn. Get fucked. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. We actually do have an option. We can go to Grant Park. Go to so is it Regal? Is that what's
That's Landmark, isn't it?
is it Regal? Is that who operates
I
it?
don't
I
know.
think so. Anyway, the alternative, they actually do give you can refill your popcorn and your drink. They don't care. They do have. I'm pretty sure they do have a digital
Really?
projector.
So
So I'm
you have to
yeah.
go to the front with your empty bag of popcorn and
They will
say,
refill it for you.
"Oh,
Yes.
weird."
Yeah. I think you have to be a member of
How
their
about butter? Have you
program.
ever paid for butter before?
I
Because
don't know if you get.
butter's
I
always
don't know if
$2 extra, right?
I don't know if you get the free butter. I think you might get a refill, but no butter. I mean, I don't know about that, but you can join their program for free. I'm just doing an ad for them now, basically, um, and you get that perk as a part of that. They do have a paid version as well, and I'm gonna start looking into that because here's the other thing: this CineClub thing. It's nice that they give you the 20% discount at concessions, but it's $10 a month. And if the ticket that you are buying, which you get one a month of, you get one quote unquote free ticket at $10 a month that you pay for. If it's over $10, you still have to pay the difference. So you're just pre-buying movie tickets is really
Yeah.
what yeah.
Okay, but to be
Yeah.
fair, this new theater, they have a pretty large.
Landmark.
They have they have like a food, like an actual like food, like burgers
That's
or
true. That's true. That's
chicken,
true.
like
That's
pizza.
true.
Like that's pretty cool. I haven't had any of it, but I liked how there's like that. It's split down the middle, and there's that option if you want like
Yeah.
a real food option. And then their arcade section is pretty big.
Yep,
so
it's good.
nothing to really complain about
That's
there.
true. Did you hang out with the nephews at the
Yeah,
arcade
we
for a
went there
bit?
a little bit early and did some games there. It was packed
That's
though. It's
that's
crazy.
fun. Yeah. I mean, what time of day did you go?
It's mid-afternoon.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Okay, so it's not Regal, it's Landmark Cinemas. That's who
Yeah, I
operates the
thought I
Grand
was
Park.
saying
Yeah.
Landmark that whole time, but I guess you didn't
I
catch
just
on to it.
I wasn't paying attention, obviously. Anyway, I'm gonna look into that. I'll report back once I look into this Landmark situation a little bit more because I don't know. I feel like we talk about the film going, experience, the movie theater experience, and it's just like it seems like it gets
Not
worse and
very
worse.
good.
Yeah, it just feels like it
Well, it was
gets
good
worse
there for a
constantly.
bit with Landmark's introduction, like
Yes,
the seats and how they were separated and the comfortability. It's all fantastic.
it's
Everyone,
also
I'm never going back, right? Like to
well,
another.
it's amazing what competition can do, right? A
Yeah,
theater comes out and says, "Hey, we are going to be a luxury experience," and then you know, the answer from Cineplex is to open a new theater with similar features, right? So, more competition is good in anything, but I think in this case, it's like, man, there really needs to be a shakeup. People going to movies less is not the answer to this problem.
did
So,
you see they had Lord of the Rings: Return of the King extended edition playing, like on some
yeah,
sort of anniversary of it?
but only one
But
theater.
only one theater. Guess which one?
Which one?
The VIP theater.
No, Jeremy, no.
They
No,
really thought having
no.
it at the VIP theater was they always get, like, those unique little
Oh my god. Those are the
celebratory
worst screens in the
small.
city.
Yeah, it's the VIP, so it has everything around it, I guess, is okay but it's not
It
really.
drinks and there's a
But
bar
the
and the whatever.
technical part about it and the size and the scope,
The
it's not
seat,
really
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's just small it's very tiny screens, right? Like,
Yeah. It used to be the cheap
yeah,
seats theater, right? So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's baffling. It's like you telling me you couldn't sacrifice one screening of whatever random movie is playing that
No,
week.
they're kinda smart though because they live in, like, a pretty rich, like, area with
Sure.
multiple rich neighborhoods around them, even new ones since they've been up
That's
in
true.
terms of,
That's
like,
true.
Bridgewater and, like,
But they
more
could
south.
renovate it though. I don't know.
So they're probably just like, whenever there's things going on, new movies, like, they're probably doing fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing okay. But there's just a reality to the whole thing that drives me nuts, which is like it's business first. How much can we squeeze out of every single person as they
That's the
walk through this
reality
door?
of owning a business and
No,
wanting
but
record
you don't
profit.
have. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like if you look at it that from that perspective, what you end up creating is a poor experience. But if you look
But
at
if you
it
can
from
get
the
away
opposite,
with but if some dudes can get away with, hundreds of millions into their bank account,
yeah, like, that's right. The
that's
Cineplex
what.
executives are making bank, right?
Yeah,
While the rest of us are, paying
yeah,
$20 a movie ticket to get a shitty experience. So,
yeah.
yeah,
They just don't care, and it comes down to, like, cleanliness. Like, there should be, like, a janitorial staff basically on hand at all times. Like, it's so disgusting, like,
yeah. Oh,
the
also,
bathrooms and
here's the
like, the
thing:
faucets and things don't work sometimes, like,
the brand
just
new theater
doesn't
has
get
this
fixed.
stupid bathroom. It has like a really dumb bath. Like, are you like you know what I'm talking about, Jeremy?
I guess so.
There's a unisex bathroom with 4 stalls
Oh, no, I haven't seen
that
that.
you can't that has no indication of whether or not the doors are locked. So you you get up to these stalls and they're like built door, like an actual real door, not just like a stall door. And there's no indication of whether or not these are locked, and there's only 4 of them. And there's, I
You have
guess, a
to
regular
you have to
women's
bend
bathroom
down and
further
look to
on.
see if there's feet.
No, it's a door all the way to the bottom, Jeremy. There's no way to know if there's a person in the stall.
I don't know. I just went
Yeah,
to the dude washroom. I don't
yeah.
know.
There's one further down that's just a guy's one. Yeah. Um, so we have a friend of the show, Commander Chris Stinger, in the chat here. Good to see you, Commander Stinger. Um, he says that Jeremy looks like he could take Mario. Yeah, you could.
Fake though.
Jeremy could. Yeah, you could beat him up, right?
Alright.
Yeah, I think that's what he means. Well, he'll clarify. All right, so let's get into the movie review itself here. We talked about the experience enough. Um, Overall thoughts, Jeremy. What did you think of the Mario movie?
Um, I thought it was, pretty great. I mean, I think upfront, maybe acknowledging, the the opposite opinions, the polarizing kind of critical versus the
Sure.
fan reaction. I think it all just really boils down to a plot that doesn't really have much depth.
Oh, it's not.
That's
But it's like the
that
game, though, right?
is yeah,
Yeah.
that is so that I think that's just my perspective. I think that's what it's boiling down to people, maybe even in our age range or experience with the character, kind of a big part of their life. Maybe not having that effect of the Incredibles when they first dropped, and
Sure.
like how the story and like the dynamic of that kind of played out, or Finding Nemo, how that was just so popular. And this is just a popular franchise and characters that is basically just being celebrated here,
Yeah.
moving very rapidly to essentially children. Like it's, but it has this new kind of fresh take with power ups and characters who can use certain ones, and has like a dynamic that makes sense in terms of the laws of the reality of this fantasy land. Uh, and then I found the dynamic of Martin and Luigi being actual plumbers and in Brooklyn, and seeing their family kind of be expanded upon was very refreshing. But
Yeah.
overall, just a very simplistic 3-act structure, but totally understand because it's, geared towards kids. But if you're a fan of this series, like you're clearly gonna have a good time with this, with tons of just Easter eggs and homage and just love letters and music
Yeah.
that's redone and revamped. And I think the voice actors all across the board did a phenomenal job. I think very minimal did I think about the actors portraying
I
these
agree.
characters. So I think everyone understood the assignment. Some like Bowser, I think, being a key star here in terms of Jack Black,
Yeah.
bringing
Big.
his enthusiasm, his music background. The Peaches song is obviously super
It's
funny.
so funny.
Uh,
Holy shit, Jeremy! I was dying in the theater when he started
mhm,
singing that song. I was literally, I
yeah,
like. Listen, this my theater wasn't full. It's a 10 o'clock movie for a kids movie. There's
mhm.
not a lot of. That's not a big audience for that. But I was probably laughing the loudest when that first happened. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue. Sorry.
So, yeah, all in all, I just think it's like if I was to give it like a rating, I think I'd have to go like a 9 out of 10. Essentially, like
Interesting.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna uh, just kind of bring it down in terms of those factors. I think it was kind of key in terms of being the wide kind of big success that it needed to be to garner sequels and like make this kind of like this Nintendo verse essentially. um, and I'm just super excited for the next one because all these kind of rules or whatever are kind of established now,
Sure.
the dynamics of it, and we can kind of sink our teeth into a meatier story with the characters that we kind of all appreciate and like, and are excited to see again. Even Charlie Day's Luigi,
Oh,
how
he was
awesome
so
was
good.
he?
I don't even
Uh,
like Charlie Day, but I liked his performance as Luigi.
right.
That's honestly how I felt. The cast is so good. I think the standout to me though is Anya Taylor Joy as
Oh,
Princess
really?
Peach.
Peach, nice.
I think she's just so like like you said, understands the assignment. I think she
Yeah.
totally nails the character like
Very
perfectly. To be
very
honest, yeah,
commanding, has a lot to do here too. It's not your
yes,
typical damsel in distress, obviously, so that's
yeah.
super cool to see. But yeah, I would agree.
Um,
Even Toad, I thought
oh
was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, I think Toad was
Keegan.
Keegan Michael Key is great anything he does. That's my opinion, but he just Toad as a character is so fun in this movie that
Yeah.
I had
Very
really
different
enjoyed.
take too, kind of from what we kind of see in the games. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
he's more of like this obviously this faithful servant, but uh, maybe not as like goofy, I guess, as you could kind of hear.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just super fun, and you just love his enthusiasm. And
Yeah. No, he brings this like joie de vivre to the whole thing, and it's
it's just cool, and it's cool for like to see the birth of the relationship between him and Peach, right? Like that's
yeah.
just cool to see. Like they're always like together, right? Like
It's interesting. I think you're right because what it does is cement a few of the concepts that I think the game has always, or the games plural, have
yeah,
always kind of danced around or just avoided entirely. Which is like we're not going to get into why
hmm,
Mario and Peach have a relationship at
yeah,
all, right? But this is like okay, no, we're going to explain kind of how that makes sense, right? And down to the point of like giving Peach an origin story, which is like she accidentally found her way to the Mushroom Kingdom as a baby.
right.
Which is really
Yeah,
funny. Yeah.
establishing that Mario is from Brooklyn, and, like,
Yes.
this is a pretty clever way on kind of showcasing that, like and even in the original movie, they kinda did that. I always thought that was super intriguing on, like, just getting lost in this world, like, through the pipes or, like, underground.
Sure.
They kind of nailed that here. It's super simplistic, like, Mario just kinda stumbles upon it, and then it's like this super
Yeah,
it's like this
right.
Doctor Strange,
I
scene, right? Where he's, like,
the
flailing through pipes and, like
I don't understand the pipe warp situation, but
yeah,
it doesn't really have to make sense, but like yeah, I guess they're in like these like streams of energy or
yeah.
whatever. I don't know. I really don't know. And so I but like the
But
warp
then you're
pipes never
waiting for,
made
like,
sense anyway, so
you're
yeah.
waiting for the sound, right? And then it comes,
Warp,
like,
warp,
yes,
warp.
there it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
It's like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
always that "there it is" moment in this movie throughout.
Yeah. Well, because I think that ultimately this is a very fan servicey movie, right? It's like, hey, here, you know those things you like? Here they are. But also like maybe they'll kind of explore them a little bit deeper, a little bit more depth than what we kind of thought about before. You know, like kind of framing the enemies as Bowser's army as a very specific thing, like you know, and how he's deploying them and all that kind of stuff seems much more thoughtful than what we get in the video games, where it just kind of feels like, okay, sure, it is what it is. But ultimately, again, the games weren't ever designed to be a a narrative experience, right? So bringing in, I think it's a challenge at all. I think the fact that they were able to make this coherent as it is, which is not really that coherent, make it as coherent as it is in of itself a success because the Mario games don't really have a story. So
Yeah,
you're
just
building off of bare
you're
bones
dropped in
stuff.
constantly.
Yeah. So it's like it's a lot of like um it's a lot of to fandom, and I think that's fine. It's a kids movie. I think ultimately the biggest thing that the takeaway here for me, or maybe not the biggest takeaway, but the thing that I think is a fair criticism of it, which is that this movie has really nothing to say, right? It's just like there's no like larger lesson here really. You know, I think what's the stronger we're stronger together, right? That's like the Mario Bros are stronger together is the theme of it. But even that
Yeah,
is kind of weird
that's just
because
that's just about as deep as it gets, right?
yeah,
It's the doubtful family, the doubtful father. Like it's that relatability. Like you told you can't, you'll never be this. Like it's that quintessential message, but it's like visited in the beginning, and then he's just strung through all this crazy adventure. That is awesome, obviously, and then he lives up to that hype at the end, which is super satisfying with the superstar power up and them working together, them reuniting. um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just not super disappointed on that lack of what the majority is kind of disappointed in,
yeah, no, that's
because
fair.
I just see the potential for the next one. Like even how it ended, right? Like they just travel back and forth now. It seems, which I think
Uh,
is super cool.
it, it seemed okay at the end of the movie. Were they waking up in their Brooklyn apartment and then going to the Mushroom Kingdom, or were they already in the Mushroom Kingdom?
They actually, you know what? They might have already been there,
I think they live
which
there
I thought
now.
was sweet. Which I thought was
Yeah,
awesome. It's like they found their purpose.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
because they stuck out like sore thumbs in Brooklyn, but all that stuff was awesome. Like honestly, for me, like the all like the plumbing stuff, like I'm super into expanding upon that stuff.
Yeah,
It's like
right,
we
right.
don't really get it in the games.
I
Like
not at all.
we got it in the beginning when they were like actually in the pipes with the bricks, and like the enemies would come out of the pipes, like the actual like Super Mario Bros. Game.
Yes, the
Like
original. Yeah.
not the side scrolling adventure
Yep.
one, like
Yeah,
the
yep. Where you have to
yeah.
knock the things upside.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, those are the same creatures that Bowser's like, whatever those things are.
Yes, yeah, the
Yeah,
Sonic, yeah.
yeah, the
And
spiky
then,
things. Yeah.
and then, like, seeing that kind of expanded in, like, Paper Mario, and then, like, seeing, like, their house they live in and, like,
Yeah.
or even, Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
I just love and then having them, like, upgrade their equipment, which is their boots and their overalls and their
Sure.
hammers and their wrenches and all these things, so yeah, I just love seeing that, and, like, I thought it was really cool, like, them this is what Mario's dad looks like. This is what Mario's mom
yeah,
looks like.
yeah, it's so weird.
This is Mario and Luigi's family.
Yeah,
This Italian,
yeah. Mamma
Brooklyn
mia.
family.
Right? Yeah,
And I
it's
just
so
love
funny.
that look at that, and like I'm curious to see that expanded more
And
upon.
you think they're going to expand? Like, I feel like to me, the decision to kind of bring that final battle onto the streets of Brooklyn was a interesting choice. I don't necessarily
Was,
agree
yeah.
with it. I don't. It's like it really feels like script notes from the '93 movie, which is like
Yeah.
this has to be more in the real world. It's like, why? We just spent a whole sequence of this movie on the Rainbow Road. Why does this need to go back to Brooklyn at all?
I guess it just gives it
You know,
more. It gives it a bit more stake, I guess, because their family is involved once more. They can see it play out like in their
they're
world.
finally able to earn their respect at the end of the
Yeah.
movie because of that. I guess. Yeah, that's fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, I don't know. I think if I was to give this movie a score, I think it'd be closer to like a 7 or an 8,
Yeah.
just because it feels really fun while it's happening. Right? I think it's legitimately funny. I think there's really funny moments in this movie. But it's just so kind of weightless in terms of like stakes and it really, and like, again, no message. And I think, again, those are fair criticisms. I don't think every movie needs to have that to be successful, but to be a really, like, to be a 10, I think this movie has to have more to say. And this movie has nothing to say.
I
Even as a
think
kids movie.
they were aiming towards more of a 10 in terms